So this is Greg from BioWare. Greg, can I please just ask you to introduce yourself very quickly?
Yeah, sure. My name is Greg Zeschuk. I'm one of the co-founders of BioWare and a creative officer for RPGs and MMOs at EA.
Very good. Okay. And whereabouts are you at the moment?
Right now, I'm in Sydney. We've been doing some press stuff here, and since we're close to you guys in New Zealand, we thought we'd do a little video conference.
Great. Okay. And so how on earth do you cope with working simultaneously on two of the biggest upcoming RPGs of this generation?
It's very busy, and if you throw like Star Wars: The Old Republic in there, you end up with three monstrosities, in a positive way, of course. It's interesting, like the challenge we have is almost the time to play the games themselves. Like I know this last month and a half, Wolfrain and I have literally been almost in alternating nights playing like, Mass Effect 2 or Dragon Age. I mean, Dragon Age went through like a 360 version and the PS3 version, and then we're playing a lot of Mass 2 right now. The way to cope with it is spending a lot of time playing the games, which certainly can't complain about.
Okay. And so I'm going to concentrate mostly on Dragon Age Origins and Mass Effect 2 here. They're both role-playing games, but is it fair to say that that's about where the similarities end for those two?
Yeah, I would say that both Mass Effect 2 and Dragon Age Origins are purposely, by design, different. I think, obviously, you get a very cinematic, kind of almost shooter RPG game in the case of Mass Effect 2, and that's something we've amped up, made even stronger in the sequel. Whereas Dragon Age Origins is a fairly traditional BioWare game with, fairly deep tactical elements and really involving story that actually has a very different feel. And it certainly has a lot of the strong cinematic qualities of Mass Effect as well, but it actually has a very different breadth, and a very different set of emotions that play over the player during the experience.
Okay. So Dragon Age Origins, it's been developed for both PC and consoles, as you just mentioned. Are there any notable differences between the versions, or will one be a direct port of another? What's the story there?
At BioWare, one of our primary goals is always to make every single version of any game that we release feel native to that platform, feel like it was built for that platform. Taking the original Dragon Age Origins on PC, which is quite a complicated interface, full mouse and keyboard using all the features that are there on the PC, and trying to convert it to a console is a lot of work. What we actually did was completely tore down the entire interface on the console, rebuilt it from the bottom up over a 6-month period. Every week we'd review the revisions, and we actually came up with quite a few little changes and innovative ideas. For example, whereas the PC version uses the very traditional kind of talent bar at the bottom and most click on targets and that sort of thing, we actually did a variant of the similar wheel we made for Mass Effect in Dragon Age Origins, but in this case it has multiple layers, and you actually when you pick a sort of category, it'll expand out and actually even have other things that you can do with it. For example, spells, it'll give you all your spell options. In this way, we managed to maintain accessibility so it's quite playable, but also the power on the console. We didn't compromise the console experience in any way, but managed to balance the playability. And that, for us, we think was a pretty big accomplishment. Some titles that were, the team did a fabulous job on. We're very proud of them, how they pulled it off.
So the game has been referred to as the spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate. In what ways is this true, and in what ways do you think the game progresses that formula?
Well, I think trying to set out to make the spiritual successor of Baldur's Gate is a very daunting effort, and that's what we tried with Dragon Age Origins. And I think we actually didn't realize how daunting and incredibly significant experience it was until we tried it. I think really where we succeeded was capturing, there's a sort of feeling within Baldur's Gate. I mean, it's beyond the D&D license and world. It's really a function of how broad the world is, the variety of things you can do, the sense of good and evil actions you can undertake, and just it's a world of continuous surprise where you don't know what's around any corner, and it's vast, very broad. And that's actually, I think, what we accomplished in Dragon Age Origins. It has that feel to it, and I think that's something that we're really proud of. And I think what's different, just the most fundamental level, is the technology's progressed so incredibly far in the last 10 years. Because I think our first actual launch of the Baldur's Gate was, I think, very late, like literally December 1998. So it's literally more than 10 years ago. And in those 10 years, we've gone from like little tiny 16-pixel characters to fully realized digital actors, and that's been just an incredible revelation and dramatic difference over that time.
Very good. Okay, and you're also eliminating the morality bar that's common in games like Knights of the Old Republic and even Mass Effect. What are you hoping to achieve by eliminating the morality bar?
Well, what's interesting is that we've actually changed it. Well, again, at BioWare, Ray and I encourage every team to be, progressive and try out different things in terms of how they deal with sort of character actions, morality, and all that sort of stuff. What we actually did was given each character a personal sort of relationship bar or relationship meter versus the player. So in other words, the actions you undertake are viewed by every single player in your group differently. You can also do things like give them gifts and to try and prove their perspective towards you. And finally, they all have a lot of their own personal quests you can undertake and help them find things or solve things or things they're lost or missing in their lives. And the key thing to that is actually a real fundamental gameplay benefit to that. When you get higher and higher level of favor for these characters, some will reveal new parts of the game, some will reveal classes you otherwise couldn't get, you get new powers. So it's actually a fundamental part of the game, and that's also part of the game where the romance come into play, where if you actually have a strong relationship, it may lead to a romance with these characters. And finally, it has real gameplay significance. Like, there's various points in the games where people really dislike you. The other end of the spectrum, your own party members will attack you if they don't actually like what you're doing and how you're doing it. You'll suddenly in the middle of a battle against enemies and your own party. So it's a really, really dynamic experience. It makes it more personal, so we actually really slice it from an interpersonal relationship basis on each character.
And so Dragon Age is also said to include a developer-grade toolset that will allow players to modify and customize the game. Can you tell me a little more about this and what the player can expect to do with this?
Yeah, one of the things we actually wanted to make a fundamental part of Dragon Age Origins was a little page out of the actually Neverwinter Nights book. We actually had incredible success with the tool set Neverwinter Nights. We wanted the same thing with Dragon Age Origins. So what's different, though, I think, relative to the Neverwinter Nights tool set, we actually are using the actual tool set that we used to make the game and absolutely delivering all that power to the players. Really what we want to achieve is a very vibrant ecosystem where people are making modules and modifications to the game that they can share. And we've actually facilitated that by actually putting a community site or an element of the community site on our webpage where people can actually, different creators can share techniques. You can also find people that want to work together to build stuff. So all these things are actually fundamental to what we're trying to create. And it's very exciting for us because we're in a position where we've actually had these creators come out a couple times and on-site to BioWare, they beta test the tool. So we're going to launch with the game release and have a really, really cool tool set that folks can create content. Eventually, we're going to try and figure it out, but obviously it'll be all available on PC for free. We're also trying to figure out how we can possibly get that kind of content over to the consoles. We don't know, we've talked to Microsoft and Sony about that, but that's something we really, really want to try and do.